Welcome for the final time to Stage 2 Reds Bar in Minehead. The final time this weekend, I should say. We have 4 games for you here in the second stage of action with 8 players all looking to make the quarterfinals of the UK Open. The final day here at Butlins Minehead. And as always at the UK Open, it is a real mix of big names and less heralded ones. We have Rapid, Ricky Evans and Luke Woodhouse kicking things off. And these two are enjoying their best ever runs at the UK Open. Woodhouse, this is his best run outright. Ricky Evans has matched his best ever run by reaching the last 16 of the tournament. One of them will go through to the quarterfinals for the first time. It would only be a second ever major quarterfinal for Woody, aka The Shed, because it's a Woodhouse, having made the quarterfinals of the Players' Championship finals in this venue towards the back end of last year. It is an indication he's making some real progress in his career, Luke Woodhouse. He's a guy who qualified for the World Grand Prix. He's in line for a debut at the match play this year as well, although it is going to be a real fight for him to get there. Paul Nicholson alongside me, Dan Dawson, for all the games here this evening. And it's a real opportunity for both of these guys.
Isn't it just? Woodhouse this afternoon was phenomenal in beating Michael Smith. So that is the person that beat Ricky Evans in a World Youth Final. Now he's got to take care of Evans the way that Michael Smith did over 10 years ago. But this is a very different proposition on a different board, because that Woodhouse-Smith game was on the outer boards. Now everything is focused on this stage and the main stage. And everything tomorrow will be in the main arena. That's where Woodhouse wants to be at around about 1 o'clock tomorrow.
Yeah, well, not only has he beaten Michael Smith, he beat Raymond van Barneveld, both in last leg deciders 10-9 against 2 world champions there. He began his tournament by seeing off Dylan Slevin, who is no mug, let me assure you, and he has been averaging better round by round. 93, then 94, and then more than 97 as he overcame the bully boy Michael Smith. If he keeps on that trajectory, then Luke Woodhouse has got a real chance. But Ricky Evans has played some excellent stuff this weekend as well. So you know, off Lee Evans, Scott Williams, the World Championship semi-finalist, of course, and Mike de Decker, the in-form Belgian in the previous round.
59. Ricky require 100.
Chance for Evans to break the throw on the first leg. And again, another player that is ignoring the treble 17 on dart 2 there with the blocked 57. Don't always have to go for the blocked bed. But now, Woodhouse is not thinking about a blocked bed, he's thinking about a bullseye.
63.
And he was only thinking about the bullseye there. There was no attempt to go for the double or the treble in the 18th segment. That's worked out quite nicely. But double 10 is found by Ricky Evans, and it is the opening leg against the darts.
Second leg, Ricky to
Not really sure we can read anything into their previous meetings. It is 3 years since they last played each other.
93.
It is 2 apiece in their previous meetings, if you bother. But going back, their first meeting was on the youth circuit, and that was 11 years ago.
Yeah, I don't think you can read anything into it, because Luke Woodhouse is a very different player now than he has ever been.
Luke Woodhouse is going through a period here where he is kind of doing what Ricky Evans did a few years ago. Reached his first ranking final last year, Luke Woodhouse. He's got himself into things like the World Grand Prix. He could get himself to the match play. Now, Ricky Evans has done that, but then couldn't sustain it, has dropped away. He's now looking to rebuild. But the way that he's been playing over the last more than a year, I would say, there is a suggestion that he could start to work his way back into contention for those tournaments. It's probably going to get more tricky with the European Tour qualification rules.
Make no mistake, it is going to be tricky for the people outside of the top 16 in the world. But then again, Ricky Evans has been around so long now that he has seen lots of different changes with qualifying for things. He'll just try and adapt, and if he doesn't, he may perish. He's not someone I see going to Q school over the next couple of years, but I really do want Ricky to understand that if he wants progression, he's going to have to find a way to change his fortunes himself. It's not just going to fall into his lap.
Well, that's it. Even though he may not have gone on to do the things he's aimed to do, he's never looked in danger of losing his spot on the tour, has he?
Correct.
Which in itself is a hell of an achievement.
Yes, it is. And we're talking about over a decade.
64.
So let's laud him for doing that. But he really wants to take the next step. It's almost as if he's glued to the previous step on the ladder. Double 16 for 2-0. That's more like it. Clinical stuff there. And I love that use of treble 11 on 65. Very much a neglected route.
Yeah, something you see Chris Dobie do a lot, that particular shot. Because if you don't get the treble, leaves double 16, same area of the board.
100.
If you only get the single, 14 in tops. And it's nice little sweep up that left side of the board.
55.
Which you would think, for such a quick player as Ricky Evans, it helps him more than somebody, say, like Luke Woodhouse, who gives himself a bit more time to set, readjust. Whereas Ricky Evans, Michael Smith, for example, they really do rattle through those visits, bang, bang, bang with that rhythm, and perhaps not moving up, down, left, right, all over the place
100.
can help them with their accuracy in that regard.
Absolutely. Now, Ricky's shirt in this tournament, which I believe is going to be a permanent fixture for the year. Nice one for the UK Open. I'm not sure it'll go down very well at German European Tour events, though.
96.
But it does remind me of a very famous Phil Taylor shirt from 2012 when Phil lost in the final to Robert Thornton. He had a very UK-style
100.
flag shirt.
I remember Thornton winning. I genuinely can't remember what Phil was wearing that time.
There's a bit of
Who cares? Thornton won. In the greatest UK Open campaign of all time, by the way.
and the heaviest trophy. You ever seen Robert Thornton lift that trophy?
I did actually, yeah. It was a bit of a struggle for him.
It's very heavy. I think he had to get his mantelpiece reinforced.
106 plays 107. Luke Woodhouse looking to get a first leg on the board. Treble 17 the target. Does not find it. Ricky Evans. Oh dear. That doesn't help him.
That dart has been minimised out of his game in the last year. It doesn't want to come back, Luke.
98.
Don't fling dart 3
Require 69.
in disgust. It might cost you dear if you keep doing it. Now that's a happy accident.
It is, but it does mean it's 20 for tops and he can block a portion of that bed. But that is really nicely done. He got lucky with that dart going in the treble 3 rather than the single 3 because he may have only ended up with a dart at bullseye.
Yeah, look at Woodhouse in this game. If
25.
he loses his rhythm, loses his patience momentarily, he might just throw dart 3 with a bit of a fling. He's got to stay in this rhythm if he wants to be the player that
60.
we all hope he can be.
Well, I remember Luke Woodhouse being here in Minehead and
55.
Darryl Gurney, a former winner in this venue, of course, of major titles, Players' Championship finals, being asked, who do you think is the next player to sort of break through and be a real star? And he picked out Luke Woodhouse. He probably got drawn against him and lost, actually. Just almost looking to desperately prove his point.
140.
But he's been around for a long while, but it's only the last couple of years where he started to really
100.
make an impact, to make a consistent impact. Because he'd beaten Michael Smith at the World Championship a few years ago and thought that might be the start of it. It wasn't.
Yeah, that was after he beat Darryl Gurney here. He went into that World Championship with his tail up.
96.
After beating Smith, he was really ill. And he played in the next round of the Worlds very bravely when he could barely stand.
100.
I think at the end of that match, he was just glad it was over. And then next thing you know, within 3 months, we got a pandemic.
He's got a chance here. Even if he just stays straight with this dart, he's got a chance. Well, it's better than that.
21. Ricky require 121.
This is where you go 60 route, not bull route. Now you go bull route.
85.
I wonder if that's a happy accident for Ricky
Require 84.
to leave himself on 36 instead of 25.
To the 14s. That leaves the bull. Big safe single 14.
59.
Then his rhythm was erratic there. That single was just flung. And he's now 3-1 down. courtesy of missing the bullseye, but just looking at
Woodhouse.
what he's doing each and every dart. That rhythm has got to be good tonight. It's got to be consistent. I'm sure it was against Michael Smith this afternoon.
100.
And this game is about repetition. Whatever worked this afternoon, keep doing it.
Yeah, well, I've not seen Luke play this weekend, but he's managed to win 10-9 against Barney and Michael Smith, and he's played well in those games. But it is, I find it aggravating that he does chop and change. He has a set with his dart and then goes through the action. But you'll see on dart 2, on dart 3, sometimes dart 2 and dart 3, he doesn't have the set. He just goes through with the throwing action. Now, I don't think that's a good thing. Sometimes he doesn't even realise he's doing that. We talked this weekend a lot about players wanting to, some of them wanting to free things up and get them flowing and being a bit less staccato, a bit like, so, talking about Ross Smith in that regard. But whatever you do, it's not about just changing what you do dart by dart. It's about having a whole process that you use every time that you're more comfortable with.
60.
And Ricky's got some of that as well in his armoury, but predominantly it's all about just staying smooth and quick. That's what he's all about. There's that little stab of the dart at the top of the set position, but everything is moving.
99.
As you see, dart 3 there just flung away, not in the same process. It's really hard to critique somebody in the last 16 of the UK Open, but
44.
there's a lot of money on the line here. £5,000 for this game, and the opportunity of getting to a 6-figure payday tomorrow. If you lose tonight, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, both of these guys, I mean, they're ranked 38 Luke Woodhouse and 46 Ricky Evans at the moment going into this tournament. As Ricky's going to take a chunk out of this and leave himself on 36 again.
64.
But, you know, a real big run here, and who knows what the draw will do for the quarterfinals for whoever wins this game.
Absolutely.
You know, they could be pushing for top 32, and that's a seeded spot at Ali Pali.
32.
Miss outside. 4-1 will hurt.
Double 9.
20.
Oh, you heard what he thought about that.
Luke requires 32.
Sickening miss at double 9 and double 18 for Rapid Ricky. That's not a marker. That's not anything. Nothing positive, at least. He's getting closer.
16.
Maybe too close with that second dart. He just blocked it.
Yeah, I don't think either of those darts helped him, to be honest. Single one. Oh! Well, Ricky laughs it off, but he will be fuming with that.
He's trying to hide how he feels about that single one miss. That may be the worst leg we see on the stage tonight, but any leg win is important. Just ask Andrew Gilding. He lost 10-1 in the last game on this stage this afternoon. Peter Wright cantering through to the last 16. And that is a place, like you said, Dan, that Ricky Evans has been to before. It was 2 years ago, so he has covered his ranking money from 2 years ago. Now he's in profit if he wins and goes beyond.
Yeah, and look, we saw last year, Gilding won it, beating Gavlas in the semi-finals. I know Andrew Gilding had been playing brilliant stuff the year prior to that, but he wasn't in that kind of form coming into this tournament. Things happen in this event, and they are things that can change the course of your career. That run for Gavlas, who did nothing else last year, really, has secured his professional status for 2 years, maybe even 3 years, as a result.
99.
These guys aren't looking at just securing their status. They're looking at pushing themselves up into the top 32, at forcing their way deep into it. And if you're top 32, seeded spot at the Worlds, theoretically easier game at the Worlds, so you'd be expected to win your opener, and then you're in the third round of the, and that's ranking money as well. You move up and up and up. It's a snowball.
Ask any dart player in this region of the rankings, as you see back-to-back maxes. Would you rather play in round 1 or round 2 as your first game at the Worlds? You've got to be up top 32, like you say, to do that. What's happened to Woodhouse all of a sudden? Double 6.
75.
Might pay the price for that. Evans has got to be ruthless as he looks to hold on double 16.
Well, that was in danger of becoming a problem again, but double 16 is found despite the block of dart, and it is 4-2.
That leads me to my next point about Ricky Evans. He's one of the nicest people you will ever meet. He gives his time to all of his fans. He's colourful, but there has to be a line drawn. If you want to be the player that you want to be, at some point being the clown that he is, has to be tempered, and the pro needs to be switched on. He makes people laugh. There's nothing wrong with that.
I don't know. I think, to be honest, you need different characters, and I'm not sure that Ricky Evans and his antics, I'm not sure it detracts from his abilities as a dart player. We know he's good. It's just really hard. I think he has to get better as a dart player, and he has to have a little bit of fortune, but I'm not sure his demeanour or his character has an effect on that. I might be wrong.
100.
It's an easy one to throw at him, isn't it? Say, oh, well, you're not winning games because you're not taking it seriously enough. But I'm not sure that's the case. Some players, you might say they're taking it too seriously. Again, I'm not sure it's that. People just approach the game in different ways.
Let's go the other way then. I'm just trying to play devil's advocate here. So if we say that he should be more professional by maybe tempering the clown-like behaviour or trying to make people laugh, how about if he goes the other way? How about if he does more of it? Does that improve him as a player? It might.
Well, look, he needs to throw good stuff. And the thing is, he has been throwing some good stuff for quite some time. You look at the figures from last year in terms of the averages, he's up there in the top 32, I believe. Now then. Oh, that's really good. If you're not going to take the 144 out, that's the next best prize.
Yeah, that was brilliant. Forcing Woodhouse to take this, which he won't. Doesn't have to go single 20 here. He could go treble 12.
100.
That's a really nice find from Luke.
16.
5-2 is his. Break of throw, Ricky Evans. Halfway point for him. And making the last day of the UK Open would be a lovely step in the right direction for Rapid Ricky.
Boy, here's a narrative I'm going to spin for you.
50.
These two in their either best outright or joint best runs in this tournament, and a rare spot in a major quarter-final at stake, particularly with Luke Woodhouse having beaten
60.
two illustrious names in Barney and Michael Smith back-to-back. They are both playing at a worse standard than we've seen from them for the entire tournament. And is that because they realise that this is a huge opportunity for the pair of them?
More than likely. If you have a career that spans the same sort of time frame as these guys, you are going to be confronted with a game that has immense opportunity on the line and someone who's at the same level as you. They had no idea who they were going to play at around 4:30 this afternoon. But when this draw came out, they both probably said, this is a big chance.
Yeah, I'm not playing Gary Anderson, I'm not playing Luke Humphries, I'm not playing Luke Littler. This is a good draw for me. They'll be well aware that they're up against good play. I mean, look, Luke Woodhouse went to the Grand Prix for the first time, and he beat Dave Chisnell, and he beat him brilliantly, and it's one of the greatest, and that's not an exaggeration, one of the best debut wins we've seen from anybody at the World Grand Prix over the years. He was averaging in the 90s.
I can attest to this point because when I played in the World Grand Prix in 2012, I drew Mickey Mansell first game, and I thought, well, that's very winnable for me because he was nowhere near the player he is now. Then I got Colin Osborne, who took out James Wade after he had an episode on stage. And I thought, this is an opportunity, because I thought I was playing better than Colin at the time. And then I had Newton in the quarters to play against MVG next, and I didn't get rid of Newton, and I just castigated myself for that for months.
50.
That's not there.
A miss inside and a miss outside, and it's a chance to break back for Luke Woodhouse. He's splitting. And hitting. Nicely done. A little confidence builder for Luke Woodhouse to get him back in this contest. Hold his throw, cut the gap to one leg, and then the worst he could be is 6-4 down going into the mid-game break.
Of these two players, Dan, who would you say has got the most experience of playing multiple games in a day? It's got to be Evans, right?
Yeah, it's got to be Evans. I mean, look, Evans is a two-time Euro Tour finalist. And it's only this last year where Luke Woodhouse has started to do anything on the European tour. In fact, it was key in getting him to the World Grand Prix at the expense of Ricardo Pietreczko at the time.
Yeah, Hungary was very good to him. And he'll have to work hard to get back to Hungary in
96.
September, as will everybody have to do so if you're outside the top 16 in the Pro Tour rankings or indeed the world rankings.
50.
Ricky Evans, a quarter-finalist of the European Championship way back in 2019. That is his sole last 8 run in a major tournament. So while they've both made one major quarter-final before, Luke Woodhouse's is a lot more recent.
Around about that time, Ricky was playing some really good stuff. It was 2019 when he made a European Tour final against Daryl Gurney, and he made one against Ian White prior to that.
Yeah, well, that was the year he made the Grand Prix, the match play. He was in the match play again the following year, but has not been in either of those big tournaments since then. We're getting on for 4 years.
It's really important to know that you're not going to be behind at the break, but you must keep your foot down. Think about the possibility of 6-4, even 7-3 if Woodhouse makes the mistake. He doesn't like that dart, so he's resetting. I quite like that. He won't like that. He will hate that. And now Evans has a chance to guarantee the lead at the break.
Treble 19 for double 10. Single 18. Double top. 6-3 Evans, important moment in this game. Luke Woodhouse missing 3 darts to cut the gap, and Ricky Evans is just keeping Woody at arm's length at the minute.
100.
He's been through a manufacturer change in the last couple of seasons, has Ricky, and he's made a conscious choice of going to a new barrel, a few different colour schemes, and he was one of those players at a previous manufacturer that he was just sticking with his old trusty darts. Now he's got these new ones. I think he's very happy with them, and that speaks volumes for where you want to go. If you're happy with your equipment, you can just get to work. I don't think Luke Woodhouse has ever changed his equipment since he joined Harrows.
I'm not sure he has, but when he has changed his fortunes, he's got better as a darts player, but we're not seeing enough of that in this game from Luke Woodhouse. Ricky Evans is deservedly ahead here. And it's looking like 7-3.
60. Ricky recall 161.
7-3 is not good news for Woodhouse.
99.
Yeah, with Woodhouse on 297, I don't mind him going for that 19 segment, but quite a few select others might have gone for the bullseye with the last start.
Going price goes for the bullseye there, leaves single to double.
Ricky recall 62.
But he makes up for it by getting the treble.
30.
He's having a few issues on that double 16. It sort of reminded me of Rob Cross's problems on it for a while, where if he's missing outside, I don't know if he's kicking over to the right a bit, and it might be causing him problems and covering the bed.
39.
That may be a problem if it persists. However, the biggest problem for Woodhouse is that he's got a 4-leg deficit to try and cover, and he's running out of time. A break after 10 legs, he's not even sure about that. He's feeling dizzy on the stage because it's Rapid Ricky Evans who takes a 4-leg cushion into the first and only break in this match. When we return, it will be Evans 7, Woodhouse 3.
Rapid Ricky Evans needs only 3 more legs to book his place in the quarterfinals of the UK Open for the first time in his career, and it would only be a second major quarter-final for the 33-year-old from Northamptonshire. He has not been brilliant. Statistically, it's his worst performance of the tournament, but he has been better than Luke Woodhouse, who has struggled in this game. He is averaging mid-80s, is Woody, and he's only 21% on the doubles. As we've seen numerous times over the course of this weekend on stage 2, games can change. It needs to change very quickly, because the difference between 7-3 and a 6-4 deficit, which looked like Luke Woodhouse was going to get away with at one point in that opening session, it is a big, big difference. Woodhouse has got to improve, and he's got to improve right now.
Earlier in the day and the tournament, we've spoken, Dan, about the importance of the first leg back after the break. The moment Evans goes to 8-3,
to throw first.
you're not pressing the panic button yet, but my word, your finger's hovering over it.
Well, particularly with Woodhouse throwing in this leg. If he was to be broken here, it might be curtains. But the one thing he has got is that he knows Ricky Evans is not playing brilliantly. He's been better than him, yes, but he isn't anywhere near the levels he produced to, say, beat Mike DeDecker in the previous round, where he averaged more than 97.
Evans has got form of playing at this kind of level in the last 16 of the UK Open, because 2 years ago he was done by Keane Barry 10-5, and he only averaged a shade over 81. He's got to exercise those demons, and he will feel nervous in this spot. Of that, I have no doubt. He will want to make the last 8, but if you want something too much, your game can be lost. So you've just got to relax into this and just play.
Yeah, easier said than done. You know, they all want to take the context out of what they're doing.
167.
And you can see how the guys at the very top of the game, it's easier for them. They've been there, done it. They've won things. So it's not as big. It's not as monumental for them. So they just play their darts. And they're very, very good at it.
35.
But when you're Luke Woodhouse and Ricky Evans and you've never been to the quarterfinals of this before, this is big. And there's bound to be nerves.
There's bound to be nerves for Woodhouse because he's never been to this stage before.
Well,
Well, at least he has got that first leg after the break, so that gap is only 3 now. But breaks must come, and they must come soon.
59.
Yeah, he has managed to break Ricky Evans. Did that in the 8th leg of the match, but he needed Evans to miss a couple of darts in that leg.
I wonder what the key to success for Woodhouse could be in this comeback effort. It's very simple. Get your mind right before you throw your first dart. Get that first dart right and build. Understand what's been going wrong. If it's going low a lot, just lift it for a couple of visits just to try and get it right, because the clock is ticking.
Evans went in search of the 18s there. 138 would have left himself a finish, but chance here for Woodhouse to attack the Evans throw.
They're at the first break on the main stage, and Dimitri Vandenberg is 4-1 up on Johnny Clayton, who is having a bit of a problem on the doubles, Dan.
Certainly has missed his first 9 darts at double Johnny Clayton in that game. And
100.
having seen him finish so superbly against Ross Smith and needing every single one of those checkouts, they have now deserted him. Ooh, here we go.
140.
There's a bit more urgency about Woody now. He's going to need every single ounce of it to get into bed tonight as a winner.
96. Luke 120.
Something like this would ignite him. And this is what world-class dart players do in these moments. They find 1-2-1 finishes on the ball.
96.
He's had a few goes at the bullseye in this game,
68.
and he has missed it every single time, and he's lost the 2 previous legs. He does not lose this one just yet.
Luke required 25.
When you're given a chance, you take it, and then you move on to the next one. Very well done. Couldn't really have gone much better since the break. Now he just has to replicate that again, and he's got a level game. Simple as that. But darts is never that simple. Just ask Ryan Searle.
Now then. This is better from Luke Woodhouse. 2 legs won in a total of 30 darts since the break. Kicks off 180 on his own throw.
100.
And that very healthy lead that Ricky Evans had is being eroded pretty rapidly.
There have been times in his somewhat fledgling career
123.
where at 7-3 down, he would have been shaking his head off stage and he would have almost quit. That's how bad his head shaking was at times, Woody. But what we saw at the end of last year, particularly in Hungary and at the World Grand Prix, and slightly before that when he made a Players' Championship final against Damon Heta. He was just able to be more positive. And when he left the stage after 10 legs, I didn't see a great deal of head shaking. Surely he's learned from previous times, and that's what's making him stronger.
Another in there leaves double 19. He's not got that, but treble 18 will leave him 3 at a double for 7-6.
98.
Well, look, he's just come through 10-9 in back-to-back games against Raymond van Barneveld and Michael Smith. And look, we were speaking before we came on air to Daz Rollins, who does a lot of work for the PDC, from the same part of the world as Luke Woodhouse, and he says that was not in his game a few years ago. He has improved. He has got stronger mentally. He's got better as a darts player. And this is a lot better from Luke Woodhouse because it's a 14 darter to make it 7-6, and he is reeling in Rapid Ricky.
134.
You get the feeling that the desperation aura around Evans is almost visible now because he is desperate to get a hold of throw just to keep Luke at bay for now.
140.
If he doesn't stop him, there's a risk that in the next 5 or 6 minutes, Woodhouse could be ahead,
93.
with Evans coming up dry in the first 4 legs of this session.
Feels a really important leg, this one. Ricky Evans on throw. If he loses this leg, Luke Woodhouse is favourite for the game.
140.
And it's back-to-back ton 40s, and you can just see the entire demeanour from Luke Woodhouse is transformed over the last few minutes.
And that ironic smile coming from Evans there, that's an uncontrollable reaction there, as if to say, yep, we're going deep again. And he hasn't really gone deep in this tournament. It's 6-3 against Lee Evans in the Evans Derby. Scott Williams, he won 10-4, 10-5 against De Decker. This is going to be his closest match.
But that is massive from Rapid Ricky. He needed a good leg, he needed something special, and he finds the 140 checkout. He was feeling the pressure, he had to have been feeling the pressure there. And he's delivered the biggest finish of the game so far. 12 darter on throw.
Right on time.
140.
Now he has to build on that confidence that he's found in that 140 finish. Difficult thing to replicate when you've had that big out, but give yourself more chances by getting back to the scoring tent.
57.
That's the dart he wants. He can do everything with that dart. 140 is acceptable, but as soon as he plants the top 10% of that 60 bed, he can just throw it a little bit harder and let it nestle.
60.
That's pretty good too.
140.
Back-to-back ton 40s. And all of a sudden, it was Ricky Evans who was looking in danger for the last few minutes. And it's turned around.
140.
It's a 140 marathon at the minute. They're everywhere. Ricky would love one. Doesn't quite have enough room left. Really powered that last dart, but just ran out of room.
Going the 18s route. It's got rather messy. So he should look at the bullseye here.
This is one of the biggest checkouts
72.
that Ricky Evans has faced in the last 5 years.
80.
Double 10. And that route is so valuable. The little cousin of 140 has just been hit as well. And now he's got loads of chances to make the last 8 for the first time.
97.
Really impressive from Ricky Evans. 3 legs on the spin after the break from Luke Woodhouse, who is in the ascendancy and looked to be turning this game around. And then Ricky Evans has just said no. 12 darter, 14 darter, and Luke Woodhouse now looks like a beaten man.
Yeah, the chin's going down now, and Rapid Ricky is getting quicker. He sees the tape, and it's only 50 meters away, and he's going fast.
59.
This is it. This is when Woodhouse just throws in the towel. But he's just not going to catch Ricky now.
100.
Yeah. Bottom lip jutting out from Luke Woodhouse. He feels the chance has gone. There was a little moment there where he might have been able to turn it around, and he chucks in a 180, but it may be irrelevant because Ricky Evans has stood up to him.
Just how big will that 140 checkout be in the career of Ricky Evans? We just don't know at this point, but I guarantee you this. It physically hurt Woodhouse when it was planted.
It was a tide turner. It was a match winner. If he wins the match, which he has. And Rapid Ricky Evans is a quarter-finalist at the UK Open for the first time. He raced off into a 7-3 lead. It looked like Woodhouse was turning it around, but a monstrous 140 checkout put him back in charge, and it has helped put him through to the last 8 of a major tournament for just the second time in his career.